We're back. Welcome back. Week 10. Two fans, one Paul, myself, David Quist, my lovely co-host KB Kirk Brown, and a special guest. We finally got him, Sam, aka Promo Guy. 33 months straight of profitable winning months, so he's gonna be more of a betting angle with us here today. We're gonna chit chat about some games. How we doing, guys?
Three fans, one Paul today, huh?
That's right.
Yeah, it is three fans, one Paul.
It's
Ask for me,
true.
Sam.
It's
That's a
true.
good call because Sam is also a Michigan State guy, so I'm a little outnumbered here. But sometimes it doesn't matter when you have too many people on the other team, you know. But
I like the
excited.
ratio.
Me
Yeah,
too. Me too.
I'm excited for the games this week. It's a stacked lineup. I think the next 3 weeks are going to be pretty stacked for every conference except the SEC because they play the Cupcake Week before Rivalry Week. But the next 3 weeks and then going into obviously the last week of the season, super fun. A lot of really good competitive games. So many games that we're probably not going to be able to cover all of them, and we'll probably cover them in the recap. But Dave, what's our first game we're getting into?
Yes, we're not going to talk much about Connor Stallions at Michigan or Urban Meyer at State just because nothing's really solid yet. Just want to let everybody know, so no new updates really. But first game of the week is Kansas State at Texas, noon kick. Spread I see right now in front of me is Texas -4. I'll start this one off. I think Murphy is going to get better, kind of like KB said. I think Malik Murphy for quarterback at Texas kind of gets a little bit better here, and I think Texas has got too many playmakers. They're too talented. I know Kansas State's that tough Big 12 defensive team. They can run the ball pretty well with Will Howard at quarterback as well. But I think Texas is just too talented. Their defense kind of can smother Kansas State a little bit. They can run well and they're balanced, but I think Texas is too good. I'll take Texas in the spread. I think Malik Murphy steps up here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. When you look at Will Howard's stats, he hasn't been able to push the ball downfield. 7.6 yards an attempt. He's throwing underneath everything, and this Texas defense has honestly carried them through the majority of the season. I think they've been strong in a lot of times, and even when they failed, I mean, it was really their offense getting down in the field goal red zone 3 or 4 times and not scoring, which is definitely something we could see here with a stifling K-State team. They're one. I mean, they have losses to OK State and Missouri, who are both top 25-ish teams. I think the thing here is that to get K-State to go, they have to run the ball, and they have to be profitable running the ball, and they have to get large gashing runs that opens up kind of play action behind it. And this Texas team, they can swallow the run when you're that one-dimensional with it. And so that's why I'm kind of favoring them. And then I think Brooks is going to be the difference maker. When you have a guy like that in the backfield, Malik Murphy doesn't have to do as much. He doesn't have to carry the load offensively. He doesn't have to make all the plays. This is going to be we talked about how Ohio State has kind of shifted gears. Maybe they aren't as offensively forward as we've seen. This Texas team feels like they finally somewhat shifted the narrative where they're more defensive forward, special teams, playing kind of that way. And I think that's what we're going to see here. Sam, what are some of the betting angles and what do you like here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at this matchup, I think the casual fan's going to be like, oh, -3.5, -4. Like, I'm going to take Texas. Uh, Normally that kind of thing, I'd look to take the underdog. Obviously, feels like you're not going to get rich betting against K State. That's probably been the truth the past few years. But I don't know. I think K State running the ball, that's kind of their thing this year, 200 yards per game on the ground. But I just think back to that Texas Bama game. Like, I know it was while back. Um, Teams change and stuff. Like, obviously, it's a different team now than it was then. But when a team goes into Alabama and just kind of owns the trenches like that, I wrote down here like K State. They kind of remind me of like Wisconsin of the Big 12. They're going to run the ball, tough defense. Like, it's just a pain in the ass to play these guys. But KB, like you said, I think Texas is, dare I say it, back.
Oh, you're taking Texas then, huh?
I'm going to take Texas as well. Yeah.
All right.
Potential for us to look pretty stupid in the recap, but
Yeah.
give me the horns.
Yeah, I like. I agree. Sorry, KB. I think we all kind of can agree here that Kansas State is kind of one of them sneaky teams. If it was a home game in raining in Manhattan, Kansas, I would probably lean with the Wildcats here. But it's going to be at home in Texas. Nice 64-degree day. 11 o'clock local time. Give me Brooks having a good day, like you said, KB, and Murphy takes a step up.
Yeah, and if I did had to predict a Kansas State victory here, which I mean, Texas is still they control the whole entire narrative on their season. They're very firmly in the playoff hunt. They have a win over Bama. and they can kind of run this stretch and beat Oklahoma and eventually lost, depending how Oklahoma plays out. But if they do lose this game, it's going to be the red zone issues.
Yeah.
I talked about it the last few weeks, and you have a quarterback that isn't a runner. I mean, Quinn Ewers got Texas out of a few things, because he got on the new diet and lost weight. Talks about every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Did you
But
guys know that Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw played high school together?
No. It's one of those
no,
things.
they didn't. I don't believe you. Yeah,
Just
but,
one of those storylines. Like, dude, we heard you in week 1, in
Yeah.
week 2, in week 3. Like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Also, he didn't even finish the season, so
Right.
He hasn't
Give me a
finished the
break.
season since his sophomore year of high school. But
Hmm.
just on a side note, that's where we'd see kind of an upset happening. But I just like the skill players and the guys that are kind of on the outside for this 5-star lane in Texas team to pull out
Yeah,
a close
yeah.
victory here at home. It's tough to go in there and win. I mean, their one loss was in a neutral site game.
By a little bit. And if they play again, I think they beat Oklahoma, but we'll see. So we got a clean sweep of us taking Texas that game. Next game is my team that I'm riding with this year, the good old Commander in Chief Trophy. We have Army at Air Force, 25 Air Force. The big spread. I got 18.5, and the over under is 32.5. Big spread, low over under. The under is usually hits for these games, for the Academy games, because they're both running options. With the new clock rule, the game might be done in freaking 2 hours. Who knows? But Air Force is kind of my team, like I said, and they're defending the Commander in Chief Trophy. So if they win, they will have the trophy because they kind of do a round robin of the 3 academies, and they already beat Navy. I think their quarterback for Air Force, Larrier, hopefully I'm saying his name right for once, has a really good running game compared to last week, and throws it maybe 5 to 10 times and gets a couple of deep passes. I don't think Army's anything special. They're 2-6. I think Air Force, the Falcons, my team. I'm riding with the cover here, big spread. I'd love to see a cover in the under, which is kind of crazy to say with the points here, but that's just something I want to go with and have fun. And I'll definitely put a parlay on this one just to sweat a little bit.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I kind of wanted to be the first one to say Commander in Chief Trophy, but
Am I saying,
Quist has that twinkle in his eyes, so I knew he'd beat
did I
me
say
to it.
Commander and?
Commander in Chief, like you mentioned
it's-
it quite a bit, and it's
Oh.
the biggest trophy of them all. So
Oh, I got you.
Bigger than any trophy, but
I have no thoughts on this one. It's obviously just service academy game. You guys are the experts, so take it away.
experts is a stretch of the word. We're just fans that love college football. I honestly I didn't have enough time this week. Work slate's been kind of crazy, so I don't have a ton of time to look at this either way. I'm going to take the cover, though. Or not, no, I'm not going to take the cover. I'm going to take the points. So
So
the reason why is
taking
that
Army?
yeah, I'm taking Army to cover. Well, yeah, I'm taking Army. All right. And the reason why is because I feel like a lot of teams get up for this game and they're playing the same style of offense that they see every single time they play a football game. I was kind of thinking back to the Navy game and I was like, wow, like it was still close and they were able to stop them. And it's because they're playing their same team. And we haven't seen a ton of blowouts. They usually get up for this game. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if this is closer than we expect. But I have like no big internal thoughts about any players' names. I'm excited to kind of watch it. But yeah, it's Dave's. This is Dave's team. I'm letting him kind
I got
of
one
own the
more.
content on the Air Force.
I got
When's
one
this
more.
kickoff, by the way? When's this
2:30,
kickoff, by the way?
Eastern, on CBS Sports Network. Kind of one of those weird ones again. I'm gonna add to my parlay, so I'm gonna take Air Force minus 8.5, the under, then Air Force if I can do it. Maybe if I can't, there's another bet. Air Force over 300 rushing yards. I think will hit. That's kind of spicy, but I know Army sees this in practice every day. But I think Air Force has got a lot more talent than the other 2 academies. So really interested.
We
in this
want
one.
to we want to do a spicy little prop bet here. How many completed passes in the game do we think there will be?
What would be a good number? 18.
No.
Oh, way less.
I
I
would
think
say
I was gonna
8.
say like 9.5. What do we think? Over under?
Over.
That
You think?
I'm
It's gonna be
hammering that
really, it's gonna be
over.
really close, but yeah, I'd probably
I
take a
think-
slight over.
Air Force
Like
had
you
like
said,
12
it's gonna be a
passes
quick game.
It
against
will be.
Navy when they played.
I'll have to watch
Like this
highlights.
is gonna be. Go ahead.
I'll have to watch highlights or try to pick it up after our game because we play noon.
Oh, I'm out of there. Right at noon, I'm out. I'm gonna be zooming home, hoping to catch this one. I think this is gonna be one where those new rules are really gonna come into effect. Like if they're running the ball for first downs, like you can see 10-minute drives, and then
Yeah,
it's 3-3 at half. Like holy shit.
yeah.
What's going
the
on?
cover might not happen, but I'm feeling my team right now, so I'm gonna take the 18.5. I'm going to take the under, which is kind of crazy, and I'm going to say Air Force has over 300 rushing yards. I'm going to roll with that one. But back to some real football here, real big games. Uh,
Hey,
No, that's the realest
that's the
football, dude.
real.
That's the
That is some real.
origins of the modern football, dude.
Touche, I misspoke. But to a big game, 12 Missouri at 2 Georgia. Spread currently is 15.5. Sam, take it.
yeah, I've been doing a little research, reading up on these teams and stuff. They're talking about Mizzou in the playoff. Like, could it happen? Yeah. Is it going to happen? Absolutely not. It's at Georgia. It's November. They're going to kind of hunker down here and get back to beating the shit out of teams. And this is one where Kirby Smart's going to manufacture some motivation there. Some Mizzou
Disrespect.
player. Yeah,
Disrespect.
Mark D'Antonio special. But there's going to be some Mizzou player who says, like, oh, yeah, I think we're going to win. And then Kirby's going to put it up in the locker room like, hey, they think they're going to beat you guys. They don't respect you. Whatever. Like, he's so good at that. He's so effective getting these guys who they're getting a bag. They're very highly paid players. Like, they could easily walk in here and sleepwalk, but Kirby's got this thing going on. He gets them all fired up. I think this is going to be an absolute blowout. Mizzou is their red zone offense. They're like scoring 97% of the time. I saw in the red zone. Georgia's defense happens to be number one in red zone defense. So I think this is kind of where the wheels fall off for Missouri. Again, could be a hot take, and it's going to make me look stupid on Sunday. But obviously, Georgia's more talented. It's at home. It's November. People are doubting them, or so Kirby says. I think that's going to be just enough for them to take it seriously. Kind of similar to that Kentucky game a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
I think you might see something similar here. So it's still their division. Missouri's not a threat. Give me the Dogs.
Got you. KB?
Yeah, so I actually completely disagree.
I'm with KB.
Fuck yes. Hell yeah.
And I don't disagree on that they're way more talented. I think that they had a bye week. They came into a very emotional, high-stakes game with Florida where, some people are like, this one could be close. It's at a neutral site. It's the biggest party, that kind of weekend. And they go out and beat a Florida team that is extremely overrated because they, fluked into a Tennessee win, which was just a weird game.
Yep.
And I think this is the best offense Georgia has faced all year. An offense that isn't singularly capable. Auburn put up points on this defense, and they can't complete a forward pass. They should be in the Big Ten West this year. And you look at Florida, and they can't run the ball, and they have to throw the ball 40 times. And then you look at this Missouri team, and this offense is very comfortable.
They can run really well. Sorry to interrupt you,
Cody
Katie.
Cody Schrader averaging 5.8 a carry. They have the boy Luther Burden,
Our
who
dude.
came up big in the K-State game, had a huge game against LSU. He got kind of shut down in the second half. They didn't really feature him. And the big thing with Mizzou is you kind of want to play into Georgia's hand. Keep this a close, slow game. Don't let their defense be able to pin their ears back and start getting after you, because I think if Georgia does blow this team out, I think it's going to come because Brady Cook, who's had an incredible year, 69% of his passes completed, 2,200 yards, 15-3 touchdown interception. It's going to be the offensive line letting up sacks, letting up pressures where they can't get to their offensive bag. And then on the flip side of it, Carson Beck hasn't really had to deal with much, and I think this Missouri's D-line can do one thing well, and it's rush the passer. They've been awful against the run, and maybe Georgia can pound the rock and slows the game down, but I really like what Mizzou does. Sammy?
What do you got?
Yeah, so hypothetical, you're Missouri and you win the toss. What are you doing?
Give me the ball.
Receiving.
Yeah?
Look at us,
I'm
KB.
not going down 7-0. Yeah, but
right.
Missouri's defense is definitely disappointed. They
Hostile
were really
crowd.
elite last year, and they've really struggled. But I just like what this Mizzou team, they kind of have that impact. I mean, they lost, a weird game against LSU. It was a 3-point game, and they threw pick six to make it a 10-point game. Things kind of got away with the best offense in the country, and I just don't know if Georgia has that extra gear. Like Lad McConkey is the guy they're covering instead of the two best receivers in the country.
What a southern name that is.
Duties.
But Dave, we haven't even gotten to you yet to discuss this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have some notes here. I think Beck has been a lot better than expected, but he's around a lot of good athletes at Georgia, so I think that does help. But he's been, solid. He's got 2,400 yards, 14 TDs, and 4 picks. Pretty good for. Is he a true freshman or is he a redshirt?
He's a redshirt junior.
Oh shit, what do
He's
I
an
know?
older fella.
I thought he was
Yeah,
younger.
he's
That's
been there for
completely
four
Dave not
years.
knowing jack
First
shit.
year starter. I mean, he was behind our peer in age, Stetson Bennett the fourth.
Yes.
So
I thought he was a little bit younger, so my bad. But he's been doing really good for a first-year starter. Do you think Ladd has a good game again? I'd love to see him go off. Little white boy receiver. But Mizzou's defense could be solid here. But I think the keys to the game is going to be, you got to feed Luther Burden. He is your best player. He's a five-star guy that stayed home. He's almost at He's 95 yards short of 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Try to get at least 10 to 15 touches to him. I know Georgia's defense will have good D-backs and can cover him well, but maybe get him in motion, get him in the backfield. Find ways to give him the ball at least 10 times for the game. Like you said, Schrader's a good running back. Bowers is still out, but the guy behind him is good. I think this could be kind of a defensive game, lower scoring, like 21, 28, something like that. It could be wrong, but I'm going to run with that. And I think because of that, Mizzou covers 15.5 easy for me here. I think it'll be like a touchdown game, maybe 2 touchdowns, still covers. I'd love to see Mizzou have an upset here, but I think Georgia's just too much and they win a closer one.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Georgia to win, but I think Mizzou can present some problems where it's still a close game.
Yeah, any other thoughts, Sam?
I just kind of had something written down here, like Missouri against LSU. Thinking about that, like I think that was in Columbia at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think Georgia's a better team than LSU, and they were at home against LSU. That was a ridiculous game. Like if they can't pull that one off, I don't really trust them to go into Athens and get a dub, much less stay close. So, again, obviously, I think we all think Georgia's going to win, but I think it could get pretty ugly actually.
I'll respect that
Yeah,
take.
I think the possibility it gets ugly is like 30%, but the chances it's close, like I'm just like it could be like a 35-point game in the third quarter, and it's just nasty the rest of the way. But
Yeah.
I just lean to like, hey, they're gonna get up. This is their biggest game.
Have
Georgia,
to.
like they just had a big game. They're still, it's always easy. I think after someone gets injured, like that next first week, because then the team is like, okay, this is how they're identifying the problem of losing their best player. But
Mm-hmm.
now teams can adjust to how you adjusted. And that'll be an interesting way to see how that kind of wins. Because it's not like Ladd is necessarily winning with his athleticism, right?
Yeah.
It's
And I,
him getting to
No.
good places and quickness.
and I
You
would
know who
say,
he kind of reminds me of? Not just because he's a white receiver, but a guy over there in Norman, Oklahoma. To make a little segue here, Drake
Segue.
Stoops. Like these guys, they get open. It's I don't know. They get underestimated maybe by the D backs. It's just crazy. Then you look at the stats and they've got 12 catches for $160. Like, how did that happen? I don't know.
good segue. I was gonna say one more thing. If like your question with if Mizzou wins the toss and they take the ball and they quiet that crowd down with a touchdown, that could be huge to get them rolling for that game. So if that does happen, that'd be a good way to get the crowd quiet. But good segue.
I think Go ahead.
Good segue into Bedlam here. I think this is a fun game. A lot of trash talking. I saw some Mike Gundy stuff about how it's not a rivalry as much as it used to be because of social media. He saw Bosworth back in the day at a club, and they would like it was just old school talking shit type stuff. I still think it's a big rivalry.
90s.
Yeah, I still think it's a big rivalry personally. We got Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. Spread is -6 for Oklahoma, so we got some home dogs here. KB, how are we feeling about this one?
This is such a weird game. OU obviously not a great game last week. I do want to shout out their best defensive player because I feel like we don't do that enough on this podcast. Danny Stutzman is by far their best player. He has 11 and a half tackles for loss on the season. He's just I feel like he's more of a Big Ten linebacker because he plays so downhill, but he's super aggressive, super clean player. Just really love seeing him play. But OU's a little banged up. They let up a lot of rushing yards. Dave, what do we have to see? Because I feel like this offense kind of grounded to a halt at times for OU, where they went on a series of we scored 4 straight times. We went 3 and out 5 straight times. Like
Venables turtled. He turtled.
and like, is that kind of like with running this offense? Like, I feel like you should be aggressive all the time, especially in that game when they went for it on like 4 straight fourth downs.
Yeah, I have a note written down. I have Gabriel's decent. Let him sling it. I mean, he was good at UCF. I think he's been good for Oklahoma. I mean, he had a great drive to beat Texas. I don't know why they didn't throw the ball that much last week because it was raining or what, but he scored 3 rushing touchdowns, so he's a good athlete. I think we all kind of know that. I think for Oklahoma, they got to sling it around, use their athletes. Got the kid from Michigan who's doing okay. He's not their leading receiver. I
He's
think.
injured and out.
Oh, look at David knowing his shit again.
He got injured in the
KB
Texas game.
stats. Just calling David out today, but Farouk is still in. I
Andrel
think.
Anthony, by the way. Shout
Yeah,
out East Lansing High School.
yeah. I just blanked on his name. Thank you guys. I suck. Great host over here, but I think Farouk. I mean, Oklahoma's always gonna have good recruits here, and they're gonna have good athletes. So that's how Gabriel can, sling it around. They're always gonna have a guy that steps up. But I'm actually riding on the Oklahoma State train and riding Ali Gordon the second here. Probably the best running back in the country. 141 carries, 1,000+ yards, and 10 tutties, and he's had quite the stretch of games here. We talked about it last episode. Over 250 yards, I think, the last 2 games. Bowman, former Michigan grad, or Michigan backup, whatever you want to call him. He just has to manage the game here and not make mistakes. He's only has 8 touchdowns to 5 picks. Hand the ball off to your dude behind you. Make a couple big passes when you have to. And I got Oklahoma State money line for Bedlam here.
Ooh,
Money
I love
line.
it. I
Yes.
love it.
Spicy. All right.
Yeah, I think
My turn?
the thing
Go ahead.
too, just with Oklahoma, they've been extremely injured in the running back room. They've been really banged up. They've had to use Jaleel Farouk, who's I would say is their best receiver. He has the most receiving yards. Him and Andrell were probably 1 and 2, 2 and 1, however you want to kind of dissect that. And they've had to use him in the running back room. And as much as you love seeing an athlete get the ball, he's not a running back. He doesn't look like a running back when he kind of runs. And I think that's limited this offense coming out of some of those games. We do have to hit on Nick Anderson. He has 405 yards, 8 TDs on the season already. But what this game comes down to is how does this OU team stop the run? Last week they got gouged horrendously, but it was mostly on the quarterback run. Alan Bowman's not going to run. He's a skinny white dude he's like 25. Like, he's going to be a pocket passer and not even be that great at that. He's completing like 60% of his passes. He has 6.4 yards a pass. They can't throw the ball. But they've been so dominant on the ground, they haven't had to. They've just been shoving it up everyone. And can that keep happening? I think Oklahoma is going to come out ready to fight in this game. Their playoff hopes are riding on this game, and I like Oklahoma to go out in here and take this to cover. Mostly just because I don't think you have another weird, wacky performance. You're playing in Kansas. You have like an hour and a half rain delay, and then it's raining for the entirety of the game.
Yeah.
And I just think that sometimes you just play a bad game in college football, and we need to kind of see who they've been the rest of the year versus that.
Fair take. Sam?
Yeah, this one, I mean, I think this is kind of a big spot for Brent Venables. Like, obviously, the game last week, weird one on the road, like you said. Do you stop the run very well? No. And now you're going in against Ali Gordon, and this guy is just running all over everybody. So the run defense hasn't been super good, but I do think I trust Venables as a defensive mind to kind of scheme a way to take that away. I kind of think of, obviously, it's not exactly the same, but I think of 2 years ago when Michigan State was number 3 at the first college football rankings, going to Purdue on the road. They're a small favorite, probably -3, -4. And then Purdue just totally took away Kenneth Walker. At which point, like, what can you do? You kind of see what else you have on the roster. And I think Oklahoma does have other options, unlike that MSU team, which that was tough. But I do think Dylan Gabriel's got enough here. I think I wrote down that I'd take the underdog here. But if it's -6, I think at 6.5 or higher, I'd probably think about taking Oklahoma State. That's something to kind of keep an eye on, the line movement. But I think at -6 or less, I do trust Brent Venables enough to figure this one out. So I think at -6, I'd say give me the Sooners.
I respect that. Yeah, if they shut down Ali Gordon, yeah, I can definitely see an easy cover here, by a touchdown or a little bit more. But I think he gets loose a couple times. He has a couple big runs, a couple touchdowns, over 100 yards, and he, just keeps doing what he's been doing. The last few weeks he's been cruising, so I'd like to see that again, and hopefully Bowman can kind of keep it together and not make any mistakes. Any more thoughts, KB? Are you good?
Oh, we're good, dude.
I got a quick note on this one. So they've played obviously over 110 times. Wondering how many wins you guys think Oklahoma has in the series.
Shoot.
I think we got 117 meetings.
I want to say
Uh,
it's one of those like super lopsided ones.
I do too.
It's
At
just what my
least 90.
gut's telling me. I'm gonna say like 87.
91-19, and then there's a couple
Oh,
ties in there. But I think if it's in Stillwater, like they're gonna be up for this. The crowd's gonna be rabid. You know these, dare I say it, little brother type schools. Like this might be the last game in how long? I don't know. When the series resumes. So
Oh yeah, good call.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe that might be something to think about, but I still think that Oklahoma's a little too good here.
yeah. Shout out Rodrigo, Malcolm Rodriguez for the Lions. He went to OK State, hell of a linebacker. Next game, promo guys, Washington Huskies, number 5, at 20 USC. I got UW minus 3.5. Hey, promo guy, this is your team. Take them. What do we got?
First of all, is USC still ranked? Come
20.
on,
They
can we
are.
stop with that? Which quick pivot, they are going to win this football game. I hate to say it.
Ooh.
I've been all over the Huskies. Um, I went out to the game against Oregon, best environment I've ever been to. Like that is a sick team when they're firing on all cylinders. That's the thing. I think with Jalen McMillan, his health issues, I'm not sure exactly what happened to him. They're not really sharing a lot of info. Similarly, Penix, they're saying he's hurt or they're saying he's sick. I'm not buying that. Um, Kind of at the end of that Oregon game,
He was hurting. You could tell.
Yeah, KB and I were talking about this yesterday. Like he was not a happy camper. I don't know if it was a rib shot or whatever, but he was kind of limping around. He nutted up and got the win. But I think if a quarterback gets hit so many times, like in the ribs or whatever, like that's going to have an impact here. And I think we've seen that the past few weeks against Stanford. That was a terrible performance. Like I think Oregon, they went in there and just pasted Stanford. It was not even close. Like that's what you do to bad teams.
Yeah.
Washington hasn't done that. ASU
That was
at
tough.
home, that was
Tough. I
they
watched that
arguably
game.
should have lost the game.
Yeah.
Like they didn't score an offensive touchdown. Am I right? So
I think they had a. Did
correct.
it? They didn't. They had a.
2 field goals and a pick six.
Yeah. The pick
like
six was what won the game, really.
like you can say ASU game was a hangover from Oregon. You can't say that against Stanford. So I think there are real issues here with Washington.
Mm.
Um, Penix, his health, whether it be illness or like physical, I don't know about that. Not that I really trust USC's defense to make a difference here, but like if Penix is injured, that's going to be just a huge problem. So I do think the best player on the field is Caleb Williams still. The main thing is like, has he checked out? Like I've seen some kind of concerning body language and stuff like that. Like I don't think things are very good in LA right now. Um, the fact that this is at home for them though, I don't think I can take Washington here to cover, let alone or to win the game, let alone cover. So um, I like the Trojans here, like for no good reason. I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, Washington number 5 or number 4, whatever they are. USC's kind of spiraling. Let's take the Huskies. I couldn't disagree more. I think USC's got some talent, whether they use it correctly or not. We'll see about that. But Washington's defense not super inspiring. I think this has all the makings of an upset, small upset if you want to call it that.
I like that take. Um, I'm going to disagree, though. I think USC are just straight up frauds. And I know Washington's been kind of playing down, but I think Penix has a better game. I think him and his receivers kind of sync up. And maybe one of those guys, I mean, they're all good. Odunze, maybe Bernard, he was out, I think. Maybe Jeremy Bernard steps up for a game if McMillan's out. And you still got Polk. So, I mean, they got 3 or 4 guys that are all good. And Westover, decent tight end. I think he had a rushing touchdown last week. But I think Penix steps up. I think he has another Heisman moment here. I don't think Caleb Williams, he can only do so much. He's really good quarterback, don't get me wrong. Heisman winner. But their defense is too bad and lets up too many points for him to scramble around and throw the ball up to Rice and whoever else they have at wide receivers. So give me UW to cover the 3.5.
Yeah, I think we have to look at who these teams are. Are we looking at Washington pre-Oregon and Oregon game?
Yeah.
Because they were a top 2 team in the country with how they were playing. Even their defense was playing better football than we've seen the last few weeks. Or are we looking at USC, a team, USC has been a bad football team all year. They almost lost to Colorado. They're in a 1-score game with ASU. Their defense can't stop anything. And offensively, they have Lloyd, their running back, Marshawn Lloyd, who I think is a transfer
They
there
should feed
from
him, right? They don't.
South Carolina.
Get him the
He's
football.
averaging 7.7 yards a carry. And you might look at the box score if you didn't catch the game and be like, oh, they only ran for 112 yards on 25 carries. Why is that? And then you look and then you like rewatch the game and you're like, oh my God, this dude was averaging like 8 yards a carry. And then you have Caleb Williams, 8 sacks because they can't really block anyone because he scrambles and runs into pressures a lot. And then you have him trying to extend plays just in general, and then whatever other run game they scheme up. They can attack this Washington defense. This is going to be an extremely high scoring game
Yeah.
because USC's defense is maybe the worst defense in America. We're going to talk about the worst offense in America later, but this is by
When?
far.
Who are you talking
What?
about? Over
Yeah,
under
who's
KB
that?
for reference, Michigan State because we suck. Or for back to this game, over under is 76.5 from a guy. Any thoughts?
Over.
I can't
I
take
wouldn't bet it,
over.
but it's
I
That's
can't
so
take
many
over on
points.
76.5. I mean,
I
38,
just they let up
31 under,
49
38,
to
34 stays under,
And
they let up
38,
49 to
35
the
Cal.
spread I got
stays
right now
under.
too is 3, so it went down half a point. But when I was doing my notes, it was 3.5.
I would say as a sports bettor, which I am, I would
Correct.
say if you see a 3.5, I would take that.
Okay. Three and a
Yeah,
half
but I just
for who?
Plus 3.5. If you see a
Okay.
plus 3.5, I'm pretty confident in that. And I'm as heavy on Washington as anyone. Like I have some Pac-12 tickets. I have them win total
Mhm.
over 9.5, which should be cashing any week now. But yeah, I'm not seeing it. I think when it's one week, that's fine. It's college football. These kids are 20, 21. But when you go to Stanford and lay an egg like that, like I'm starting to get worried about it. Meanwhile, Oregon is running a train on everybody. So I think they might be kind of feeling the pressure here. I don't know if they can deal with that effectively. So we'll see.
yeah, it is a good point. I just feel like Washington also didn't play a great game against Arizona too. So I mean, it's been
Hmm.
3 weeks of not inspired football, and like you said, I think Penix is more injured than kind of they're letting on, and it's a lingering thing because he just doesn't look in
Could even be
rhythm
a broken
and
rib. It
confident.
could be. I mean, who
Yeah,
knows?
but at the same time, they're playing at USC. There's really no home crowd. Like they're gonna, it doesn't like they're not the stands are gonna be filled somewhat. It's not like it's gonna be a huge hostile environment. I just think Washington can get up for this game again, and they're scoring at least 45 points. So just hold this team under 45, and you probably win.
So, KB, what's your pick?
Washington.
Anybody
I
taking
do
the
have
anybody taking the over?
I do have a spicy little same game parlay here. I do think Washington comes out firing. Like they want the football.
Hmm.
I think Washington to win the first quarter, but USC to win the game. That pays plus 526 at FanDuel. So
Ooh,
I'm
there
gonna
you
be
go.
sprinkling that a little bit.
I like that.
Um, I'll be home by then. I'm so excited to watch this game. Um, I'll be dialed in. So
Love that.
I'm pumped for this one.
I like.
Pac-12 has been super fun all year, so this is
Yes.
just another chapter in it. It's about. I mean, it's
The
not gonna
last
change.
chapter.
The last
Yeah,
chapter. The book
the
is
last
the book
dance.
is almost done. I like that little parlay, Sam. Thanks for getting that out there with the odds and everything.
Yeah.
I might tail that one, even though I'm going with the dogs here. Next game, probably game of the week. I would think. 14 LSU at 8 Bama. The current
Nope. Oh yeah.
the
Okay, I have it.
current
Never mind. Go
spread
ahead.
is 3. Yep, that's what I had from earlier. Over under
Yep.
61.5. At Bryant Denny Stadium at night. I think this is gonna be a fun game. I know a couple years back we were talking about going to this game either at LSU or Bama. Turned out to be COVID, so it never happened. Would love to go down there with the guys for this game because it's crazy. Um, Brian Kelly is 1-0 right now against this team. Does he do it again? I think no. I think
Ooh.
yeah. No one really likes him here. I think Bama's defense is really, really good. They've stepped up since that loss to Texas, and they've kind of. I wouldn't say their offense is amazing, but they've kind of figured out how to win with this team. I don't think Milrow is anything special, but McLennan is a good running back. He gets the job done, and I think the defense for Bama makes a difference here, and I think they do get the win. The big question is, can they slow down Daniels? I mean, this is probably one of the best, like you said earlier, KB, the best offense in the country. Daniels has 2,500 passing yards, 25 TDs, and 3 picks. Probably some rushing yards in there too.
521 rushing,
Yeah,
5
yep.
touchdowns.
Neighbors, and they have another guy at receiver that are both really good, very talented offense. So I would love to see Bama kind of shut this offense down a little bit. I think they still score, but I think Bama wins a game 31-28, 28-24, kind of shuts this offense down and keeps them lowered where they can kind of stay in the game. They win games in the 20s, maybe low 30s this year. The way their offense is and their defense is doing their job. So give me Bama. Could be a shootout type game though. I think that's not right with Bama's offense, but give me Bama to cover the -3 at home.
I like that. Sammy, what are we thinking here? Some of the betting lines, some of the trends you're kind of seeing around this game. 3 at home, so it's a straight up at a neutral site, usually is what
Yeah.
they say. What are our thoughts here?
Yeah, so this is one of the classic ones where the odds makers just throw up a -3 for the home team. It's like they're at home. We think these teams are pretty similar. Um, it's up to you to make the pick. So over under being 61.5. I think I disagree with Quist being that this is going to be a shootout. I think that might be a little high. Um, I wrote down here Daniel Sneaky Heisman. I don't think it's really that sneaky anymore. Like he's arguably the best player in the country right now. Decision making. I think Brian Kelly, as much as we hate the guy because he's a piece of shit, he's a very good football coach. And Jaden Daniels is what is he 23, 24 at this point. Like I think he's making better decisions, and obviously the raw talent is there. Um, on the other side of the ball, I don't really trust Jalen Milrow very much, but I do trust Saban to kind of find a way to win this game. With it being at home, what did we have a kickoff time for this?
7:45 Eastern.
Okay, so it's gonna be rocking. Um, it's so hard for me to go against the home team here. I know LSU beat them last year, which was kind of a surprise at the time, I would say. Um, I think I just trust Saban a little too much here. I know LSU's receivers. I think they're the second best receiving core in the country, second only to Washington. They could very well be number one. The offense is awesome at LSU. Diggs the running back, very solid. Um, like I said, I just think I trust Bama a little too much here. A little tidbit here: they're only plus 250 to make the playoff. Like, are they gonna just freaking get in again and then make a run? Like, this doesn't feel like a classic Bama team, but here they are. They're kind of lurking, and it's November. I don't know. I think Bama's the play here. If you can find a -2.5, like that's I think it's a pretty strong play. -3, same thing. But yeah, give me the Tide.
I love that pick. And just to follow up on you, Dave, Brian Thomas Jr. is the other receiver that goes alongside Neighbors, and
Yep.
he's leading the nation in touchdown catches this year with 11.
Okay.
He's been absolutely incredible. Looking at their numbers, the one thing and the one number that kind of concerns me is Jaden Daniels is already at 91 rushes on the year.
A
I know
lot.
part of that is extending plays, but he has put himself in harm's way 3 out of the 4 weeks that I've watched all of his games where he's doing a rush and hurtling into people and just getting absolutely decked. So I think that's kind of something to kind of keep an eye on with a really good pass rush out of Alabama. My breakdown of this game is LSU has the best offense. Bama has an above average, elite level defense. They have elite playmakers at each level of the game, each level of the secondary. And LSU might have the worst defense in front of USC. Like USC can't stop a nosebleed, and LSU gets a piece of tissue paper on it and then just pulls it away and lets it bleed again. Like they get 3 stops a game. Feels like they're all in a row, and then every other game, every other possession is an absolute
Yeah,
mauling.
they're not
I
great.
think the thing here is if Bama can avoid 3 and outs, which they haven't been great at all year, but slowing down the game, running the ball effectively against a bad run defense, and getting limiting the possessions. If you give LSU 12 possessions, you're not going to win this game because you're going to score 45 points. But if you give them 8, that can kind of turn them into a 30-point team, which how bad their defense is playing, I think you can get it. I think that there's going to be a lot kind of schemed up here. I think that this is going to be in a very, I mean, they're both coming off buys, but I just like Bama at home here. I think Milrow can make strides because he's been really good at the long pass, deep balls, guys running wide open, thanks to Tommy Reese, but he's been ineffective at reading a defense and breaking down. And hey, it's a cover too. The corner's sitting on the underneath route. You have to throw it under if he elevates, goes up the field, and if he goes to cover the lower route, you throw it over him, and he just hasn't been able to do that all year.
Yeah.
And they're still winning football games. So I feel like another week of getting full reps, another week, like you can improve. Football teams aren't static. I feel like in the NFL, a lot of the times you see static playmakers. You know who that quarterback is. They're not changing who they play. They're not changing how they kind of look week to week. And then college, it's growth, character development. You know, you're adding reps, adding reps. And this is an inexperienced quarterback who hasn't had a ton of playing time. And I just like what they can do. I honestly think Bama can maybe get up even 2 scores here.
Wow.
And then LSU kind of claws their way back into the game with a few explosives. One of the things to kind of keep a lookout on is when they get at like the 40, it seems like every single time, they have Brian Thomas wide open in the back of the end zone. I don't know how. Like, he's had 5 or 6 touchdown passes where he's one-on-one with the slot and there's no one over top of it because they're so focused on neighbors. And it seems like every time they get to like the 35-yard line, that's kind of what's going to be happening here. But it should be a really fun game. I expect some points. Expect some stops. It's going to be a very momentum-heavy game where if
Absolutely.
a team gets rolling and they can put up a ton of points, it can be over quickly. Because if LSU gets up 21, it's over. Bama doesn't. They can't play that way. They're not in recent Bama offense. Their offense from 10 years ago when they had a functional quarterback.
Yep. So we're going with the earthquake here. We're all picking the same team. That's fine. Second quake. We're all rolling with Bama -3 at home. Yeah, I think this could be a fun game to watch. I'll be home. Sam and I'll be home from our game.
Yep.
Looking forward to watching this one. And we're all going with Nick Saban here, the former MSU coach of the Horcrux Hunter Spartan Stadium. Don't forget. Soul to soul. Next game, a little Pac-12 after dark before we jump into our games here. 19 UCLA at kind of our hot team right now, Arizona. Current spread is -2.5 for UCLA. KB, what are your thoughts? I know you kind of like Arizona right now, so I'd love to jump to you on this one.
I think this is maybe where Arizona runs into a difficult problem here with the really elite pass rush, with the really good defense. I think UCLA can ball control and position this game away. I think Fafita's elite. I love him. I hope he stays where he's at because he's been playing really, really good football. But I just think UCLA is going to be a little too much from a defensive line standpoint and pressure on Fafita. I think this is the first good defense that Fafita has played since he's really taken over the role. I know he played Oregon State last week, but I think this UCLA defense is much better than Oregon State's and how they can pressure a quarterback and make a young guy uncomfortable. So that's who I like to see here. UCLA is gonna win this game and cover.
Got you. Yeah, I think all points are solid there. UCLA's defense is really good, kind of old school football kind of defense. They punched Colorado in the mouth last week, but I think Fafita is the difference here, and I think it might be a lower scoring game that we're used to seeing from Arizona. And I'm pretty sure Dante Moore is not the starting quarterback anymore for UCLA. They moved on to the other guy.
Correct.
I think this could be a fun game, though. I just think Arizona's too hot. They're really riding on Fafita in this offense, and their defense has done enough to be in games. I don't think their defense is good, but they've done enough to be in games and win a couple, a little upsets here and there. So give me the Wildcats and Fafita to put up some points here and beat UCLA. But I'm not 100% confident in that just because I know UCLA's defense is really good. The punch in the mouth. They got Carson Steele, one of my favorite players last year at Ball State, transferring over. So just a fun game here, but give me the 2.5 with the Wildcats here. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I was first of all going to ask what number you had there. I saw 2.5. I think it's a big difference between that and 3. It's kind of a spooky one. Like Arizona's as hot as anybody, I would say, especially out west. Like Fafita, I wrote down here if Jaden Delores steps on the field, like fire Jed Fish. Like Fafita, the first drive against the USC game, like you could tell this guy was a dog. Like he's a good quarterback. He's got this team humming. Like big win last week. That was awesome to watch. I don't know if you guys saw the game against Oregon State, but I love this guy. Like I know he's only a freshman, but like when he drops back, you're just like he's going to make the right decision. You get that feeling. With that said, I do think this UCLA defense is really solid. I think what KB said, this might be the best defense he's seen. The first good defense he's seen. He's still a freshman, so as much as he's been balling out, like I'd like to see how he reacts to this. UCLA being favored here is just so strange to me. Like I would have had this at a pick'em if not Arizona favored. So seeing that, a couple numbers for you guys. UCLA, they're 2-6 covering the spread. Arizona's 7-1.
Oof.
So at this point in the year, you kind of see that like Arizona's a little undervalued. Maybe bettors think a little too highly of UCLA. They're still favored at Arizona, so that kind of sets off some alarm bells for me. I don't really put a lot of stock into that, but it's just kind of an interesting note where to see where like the average bettor is thinking here. Um, so against all my intuition, kind of like I love Fafita, I love the home dogs, but I'm going to take UCLA.
Mm.
Um, I think the under is a pretty strong play here as well. If Fafita doesn't really get it going, like this could be kind of like that Utah game where it's like 20-14 or something. Like 50 seems really high as a total. So I think
Yeah.
under would be my number one play. If I had to pick a side, it'd be the Bruins.
I like
And
that.
and I think too, being a young quarterback, I think this is going to be the first time where he gets hit, like
Mm-hmm.
not just pressure. Like UCLA punishes quarterback, like
Yeah.
they hurt quarterbacks.
It's a
Like
good
we saw what
defense.
happened to Shador, and I think that level of being hit in the mouth, like I remember watching JJ last year, and he even played a lot as a freshman, as a sophomore. They played against Rutgers. In the first half, they were just hitting him, and
Mm-hmm.
like he looked off balance. His footwork started to struggle. He stopped getting to his reads and stuff like that, and really struggled. Bounce back in the second half. But that's something that a young quarterback who hasn't been hit like that can kind of experience, where you get, eyes get wide. It's a big game. You finally you have expectations now too. It's not like, oh, we're not favored by 17 points. We're not favored by 20 points. We're not favored by 15. Now it's like, no, it's a 3-point game against, a ranked team. How do we kind of look at this? And so that's something to kind of keep in perspective too, because they aren't just robots. They hear headlines, they hear stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that under pick, Sam. I'm going to sub out the Wildcats here. I respect your picks of the defense. I'm a defensive guy, if I really think about it. But I think Fafita does too much. I wish it was 3. I'd like that pick a little bit more. But definitely going to look at that under later tonight after we're done here recording. Now we're going to our teams. After all this chit chat of a pretty solid week, we're going to the Michigan State game. Let's go first
Great.
to Purdue at number 3. The spread here has been moving a lot up. Nope, it's still 32.5. Over under is 53.5. I'm gonna just say Michigan's a bunch of cheaters. KB, what do you think?
No, I was actually going to comment on that because Ryan Waiters, the head coach for Purdue, was on a radio show or a podcast
Icy
today. And
quote.
says, yeah, he said like it's not allegations. We know they're cheaters.
Oh
They're
damn,
cheaters, and like they should pay consequences to it.
they had
And
a
I just think
call.
like
Sorry to interrupt,
that
but the
might be
ads and the coaches had a call. Like, was it last night or this morning? Right?
yeah, last night.
Okay. Sorry, KB. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, and we can even talk about the call. A lot of people want them gone, out of the Big Ten ride, and I get the frustration from a lot of coaches, but it's out there now. He's gone. I mean, you can rescind it later, but to take that away would just be something that has never happened in season before. Allegations have even been clearly made against the university themselves, right? Because all this is just based on leaks to reporters that are close to whoever's leaking this information, most likely Ryan Day, because within what 30 minutes of the call ending, the OSU beat reporter had headline up. I mean, who do you think he got that information from?
Yep.
So, which is fine. I mean, that's their job, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind when you're like, oh, the headline seemed like, oh, this is maybe a crazy situation. Well, it's coming from OSU guy who hates, Michigan, rightfully so, with the allegations that
I
have
mean, he
came out.
dressed up
But
as a Central Michigan staffer. For fuck's sake. I'm sorry. That's
allegedly,
him.
Allegedly.
allegedly,
It's totally him.
Dave, we are journalistic integrity. Everything you can say whatever you want, just add allegedly.
Okay. Allegedly, he was on
Until
her.
it gets printed out on NCAA.
I mean, there's no reason why
Evidence.
Central's coach
You just
wouldn't
say
say that's
allegedly.
not that's one of our staffers. He should have already said it already. But let's just get into the game.
Yeah,
This is
but
gonna go out nowhere.
That's
yeah, but
enough.
Waters or Waiters or whatever his name is was the Illinois offensive coach last year, transferred over to Purdue, having a lackluster season.
Yeah.
Michigan's been playing really well. I I think Michigan, I mean, they've had a week and a half to stew on people calling them illegitimate. None of their wins matter. They're not a real team. I think they go out to prove another point. Again, it's a bad team. Michigan lucked into a really easy Big Ten schedule along with playing not a great Power Five schedule, and I think they shove it on them and really try to impose their will. I wonder how the run game's going to look because Waiters at Illinois last year, or Walters, sorry, at Illinois
Walters.
last year's really, staunched the run game, but he's been pretty blown up in the pass game so far this year against Purdue. And I just think it's going to be, a boring game, and it's a night game for whatever reason. But one guy I do want to shout out is Devin McAbee. He's the weirdest runner I've ever seen in all of college football. It looks like he isn't moving, and he makes three guys miss and gains 12 yards. He has 524 yards and 4 TDs on the season, but it's just kind of something to let out. I'm not super nervous about this game as long as Michigan comes out super focused. It's an at-home night game. JJ did throw 3 picks at an at-home night game against Bowling Green, something to kind of maybe keep in the back of your mind. But JJ's locked in. This team seems locked in, and one of the things too that I kind of want to talk about, just really quick, last of the sign stealing is like it's all about the impact, right? And I think if over the next 3 weeks or even this game, if Michigan really, really struggles and looks like kind of confused and disordered, especially defensively, then I'd put more like, yeah, the sign stealing really did impact these games to a high level degree. But if Michigan goes out and dicks down Penn State's
I
and runs
think
for
yeah, I think
400
that'll
yards
be the
again,
true
I'm gonna
eye
be like,
test.
okay, just shut up then. Shut up.
I
They're
think
just a
Penn
better
State
football
would be the
team.
true
But,
test of this whole allegations
yeah,
in Ohio
I
State.
agree. And Maryland, the close game they had last year. Michigan beat Penn State and Ohio State worse than they did Maryland last year at home. So just something to kind of think about. But Sam, do you have any comments on this game? You ready to talk about MSU?
I just think if Connor the Stallion gets his signs uploaded, I think they win by probably 56. So, give me the Wolverines.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fresh. I think they're coming off a bye week, right, KB?
Yeah, they're coming off.
Um, team should be fresh. I think they're. I mean, the players they don't really care. Obviously, they get told what to do by the coaches, and the coaches probably know more than the players. So I think they'll be fresh, ready to go, hungry. I think they did beat the shit out of Purdue here. I think JJ's.
Hot take, shut out. It's gonna be ugly.
Yeah, I think so too. I think JJ's gonna be really efficient.
38 0.
I think JJ's gonna be really efficient like he's been all year. I don't think he makes a lot of mistakes this game. I think they run a little bit with Corman Edwards. I don't know how well they will run, but I think JJ being efficient, is what really matters here, and their defense will shut Purdue down for sure. So
Quick question about the backfield. Like I haven't watched a whole lot of Michigan, obviously. Like being at the MSU games and stuff. Like what's the deal with Edwards? Like
it's his knee
has
still.
he picked it up or injury or
No,
what?
he's still struggling. I think there's kind of a twofold thing. I mean, Edwards wasn't necessarily electric running. He had the huge game against Penn State, which was kind of his coming out game, but he wasn't really used a whole lot. He struggled with injuries last year, but when he got the starting gig, that's when he could start piling carries. Edwards will have 3 carries that go for 4 yards and then bust out a 25-yard one. And when you aren't getting the consistent carries, it's kind of tough to see that. And teams are playing Michigan like, throw the ball, please. We can't explain to our ADs why you ran the ball 50 times down our throat for 300 yards anymore. We are double blitzing the A gap. That's what happened in that MSU game early against when they played ECU and all those teams. They were just blitzing all the run gap. So Michigan was like, okay, we'll just throw it. And teams are letting him do that to this point. And I think he's still struggling to get over his patella tendon surgery that he had in the offseason because he had a torn patella tendon in his left or right knee. And he just doesn't look like he's running, even with all that said, he just doesn't look like he's running at the same level he was last year. Quorum's quorum, just a little less explosive, I think, coming off an ACL. I think if he'll be better next year, more explosive looking. I mean, it usually takes, a full season until they're moving and cutting the same way they were before. So.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Hopefully they get going a little bit. Penn State games coming up and Maryland. They have a nice little 3-game stretch in the year.
Penn State, Maryland, OSU.
Yep. So that'll be fun to watch. Now to promo guy in my team, Nebraska at Michigan State. Noon kick. Nebraska -3. My optimism has left my body. I'm not picking my team anymore.
Yes, let's go.
I'll still
Wow.
be in the.
I was ready to knock some sense into you.
No, my optimism is gone. Left the body after last week. I mean, you get the ball 2 times within the 35 to start the game with 2 fumbles, and you kick 2 field goals. You don't go for it on 4th and 1, and you look lackluster. You don't call any, not even a trick play, just something a little bit different to get the offense going in the red zone. And I will say, I thought Levitt looked good at the end here, but I don't know if he plays. It sounds like from what I heard from Sam that Hauser's starting, which I think is
Yep.
okay. I think he gets the keys to the car for the Indiana game,
It's not okay.
like
Not
KB
okay.
said, and you keep his red shirt. We suck. We can't score points. Nebraska's 5-3 with a new coach, and he's really good. I always see speeches of Matt Rule. He gets the guys going. He's really good coach, in my opinion. So in a couple years, I think Nebraska could be 8, 9 win, 10 win team. And Michigan State is just down the shitter here. Hopefully we make a decision here on a coach soon. A lot of talk about Urban Meyer again this week. He's been on campus 3 times, I heard. A lot of talks in the last couple of days. Don't really know, but I can't wait for the season to be over. I'm contemplating on not going to the Penn State game. I'm picking Nebraska here because we're dog water. If we win this game, I'll be shocked, honestly. Um, it's sad. 2 years ago, we were in the top 4 in the playoff. We had a Heisman Trophy contending running back. Um,
No, we didn't.
yeah, we did.
Contender for most of the season,
He
right?
should have
Not
been
all the
there.
season.
He should have been there. At this point, he was probably up in there, people talking about him. But it's been a bad, inconsistent. The coaches suck. They're getting overpaid. Get them all out of here. And I'm kind of curious to see where they end up. I might kind of keep up on Jay Johnson because he is terrible
The
and he makes
worst
so
offense
much
in
money.
America.
Yeah,
Trash.
lowest points. I'm kind of done rambling here. Just got to say it one more time. My optimism has left my body. I'm going with the Huskers, and I think we'll have a good tailgate, play some bags, early game, get home at a decent time for once, and yeah, enjoy Spartan Stadium for the last time of the year.
Yeah,
Sam,
my
any
turn.
any thoughts here? You're the other state fan
Oh,
here.
geez. Yeah. If you guys would have had me on after the Iowa game, you would have gone viral because that was just like the breaking point for me. If I didn't reach it already, like I don't care anymore. It's a lame duck staff in air quotes. They suck. They can't call a game. They can't call a defense. Everything goes wrong. Every single thing goes wrong. And it's like I think back to if there's any like hardcore MSU fans listening, like I think back to John L. Smith, the absolute psychopath we had in like the mid to late 2000s before D'Antonio. Like
Players
he
are playing their
was
tails off, and the coaches are screwing it up.
such a good soundbite. Like if we can weave that in, like do it. But
Maybe at
this
the
guy
end.
was nuts. He was slapping himself in the face in the press conference and yelling at reporters like, "Just gotta smile." Like if anyone knows what I'm talking about, you'll know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, like, what's this guy talking about? But going back to that, like at least that was like it was a train wreck, but you wanted to watch it. I don't want to watch a second of this
Feel
team.
free to keep
They're
it together
so
with
so
Bamboo
bad.
HR.
Like they got did they get what they deserved against Michigan? Yeah. Like they're a way worse team, poorly coached. There is no coach. Am I coaching the team? I don't even know. I can't watch this anymore. Hauser sucks. Kim sucks. Put Sam Levitt in. I don't know if we're trying to save eligibility. My question is, what are we saving it for? Like, I don't want to put this out there, but so I'm going to stop. But like, he's the best quarterback on the roster. Let him play some football. I don't know. Like, we're a 3-point underdog. It's a winnable game, believe it or not. Guess what? We're not winning the football game. Like it's gonna be 13-3 or some stupid shit like that. Quist is gonna be sitting in the stadium crying real tears, and I'm gonna be sitting at home like, you're an idiot. Just go home. That's enough. We're not going to the Penn State game. Like that's gonna be first. Never mind. Don't get me going. But I have so many thoughts. I'll close it with Urban Meyer's not coming to town, so
Yeah,
just squash that.
I'm okay with that, but it's just all everybody's talking about it.
Yeah. Huskers by 1 billion, and by that I mean Huskers by like 10, which is insurmountable. So
And one thing, Sam, that you didn't mention is you guys can't even line up on special teams either.
Don't get me
I just
started
wanted-
on Ross Sells. You need to get the fuck out.
You said a lot, but just wanted to throw that in there. I think I'm taking the Huskers here, obviously.
what?
No
I
way.
don't think I don't know if MSU can like do anything offensively, like
No,
unless they get like a pick six or another fumble in the opponent territory and they just kick five
Isn't
field goals.
Nebraska's run D pretty good?
our good teams
Nebraska's
don't beat
defense is good.
Nebraska. Like if you go back and look at our historically very good teams, like 2015 in the playoff year, we lose at Nebraska. Like last or
Fluky game, but we did lose.
true, we lost the game 2 years ago. The Kenneth Walker year, like we needed a punt return from Jaden Reed to get to overtime. Even like
True.
that, we don't play well against Nebraska, even our good teams. So like all the way back to 2011, this doesn't mean anything. But Kirk Cousins' senior year, it's like a 10-2 football team. They went and got spanked by Nebraska. Like something about this team, they just play us really well. I've never had any optimism going into a game against Nebraska, and this is as bad as I've felt ever. So really, really bad.
Yeah, I do think one of the things about Levitt is like you're just saving the eligibility for the kid because like you don't
Yeah.
want your program like Harlan Barnett. I mean, is a lot of things, but he doesn't come off as a dickhead. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think
True.
like obviously Levitt wants to, but you're not playing for anything. He probably, I mean, he might not come back next year. You're gonna have to turn over your entire staff, and like if I as a quarterback am like, all right, I want to play here, I want to be part of this, and you ruin my first year of eligibility in maybe, hopefully, a 3-win football team, like that's a like I'd be so pissed. I'd tell the whole entire university to go die. That's me. But overall, I do want to see some growth from this team, and we're not going to see it from the staff because they're really just guys that like somehow painted
They're
themselves
not
in
even fighting
professional
for their
bodies.
jobs, in my opinion. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're
No.
they're fighting to leave their jobs because they're over it and probably already in
Well, I
contact with
would be too,
other
but the way
organizations
they're
on
doing their
leaving.
job, they suck. I'd be fired.
Yeah, I mean,
It's bad.
if Tucker was still here, they would both be fired, like without a doubt. And I
Yeah, I
think the
don't.
team would be a
We
little
might have
better.
a one or
They'd
two more
both be
wins with
fired.
him here, but it wouldn't matter. It would still be a shit show.
Yeah, but I think the one thing too is you have a lot of young players like Hall and some of the secondary guys that have been playing really well, and so that's if you're gonna watch the game, that's kind of who you're looking
Rucker,
for.
he's good.
Yep, Rucker, and I mean, you just gotta hope at this point. It's just like I hope they kind of win, but like you just have that sinking feeling in your stomach. And state fans, I mean, a lot of you came in with the D'Antonio. If you're a bit younger, I mean, obviously Sam was referencing John L. Smith. But I know this feeling as like a young kid growing up and watching Michigan teams lose by 60 in a bowl game, and that morose feeling where you're like, I don't even want to watch football this
The
weekend
hell is a bowl game?
because my team is so just not even playing. Like they're just
Lifeless.
showing
Yeah.
up. They're showing up like it's a job, and they are getting paid now, so maybe that's how it feels for them too. But it sucks that this is the year we're covering MSU football. Not for me personally, but I can feel just the vibes aren't as good as they would be if both teams were good. But it's been a heck of a year, and maybe they can get the last home game for MSU because they have the Detroit game. So maybe they finish it off senior day with a good win. That's all you can kind of hope for, but not really predicting
None of
that
us
obviously
picking
at this
that.
point.
No, no. I will say here's a little optimistic take for you guys. Like, so 2015 we make the playoff. The next year is just disaster. 3 wins.
Hmm.
2017 we bounce back. Then we had a couple of down years, and then 2021 was pretty good. So it's kind of been a roller coaster. Not that I'm predicting we bounce back anytime in the short term, but like if you asked me in 2016 if we had this podcast then, like I'd be saying the same thing. If we had this in 2019, I'd be saying the same thing. Like it's a lost cause. So again, I'm not predicting anything in the future, but I think there is reason for optimism depending on the coaching hire, which I think has to happen sooner than later. But um, I think we kind of turn over a fresh leaf going into this new Big Ten, and I think we do have some reason for optimism. You got guys like Hall and Levitt if he stays. I think you can build around that. So obviously with the portal, like you're never too far away from contention. So
Agreed.
I'm not saying cancel the team. I'm just saying cancel this season and then let's move on.
Yeah, I like that take. Like, really looking forward to next year. Obviously, already, and it could be a crazy off season, and we'll probably do.
9 wins, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was totally on point. Thanks for calling me out. I mean, we'll probably still do this maybe once or a week or so with the off season. Obviously not through the summer, but with all the coaching carousel and bowl games, we'll have some fun with that still. So kind of curious to see.
Might we both be on the coaching carousel? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
Allegedly.
Harbaugh goes to the Bears. But any more bets or thoughts, Sam?
I just had a couple other thoughts if we're done with
Yep, we're all done
MSU,
with
which I hope we
bullshit.
are.
Yep.
Uh, I want to shout out Jacksonville State. Like they're only plus 16 at South Carolina. Like they're first year FBS team. Like that's I think they've had a season to be proud of. So I'm sure they're not going to win this game, but it's
Rich
kind of
Rod.
cool to see these. Yeah,
And I want to add on to that, Sam. South Carolina just dumpster fire.
Is this
trash.
the battle of the
Gamer rating.
Gamecocks?
Two Gamecocks.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
good call.
Let's go. What a game.
That's
Yeah,
the cock game.
love that. Um, Another one, kind of a sneaky fun game here in the ACC. Like Virginia -2 versus Georgia Tech. Like what the hell has Georgia Tech been up to? They lose to Bowling Green at home. They beat the U, in air quotes. They beat the U. They lose to I forget Boston College, was it? Double
Yeah.
digits
Yeah.
at home, and then they go beat North Carolina. And then like obviously this Virginia team's been just ridiculous. So this could be one of those just circus of a game to watch. Like it won't be on the main screen, obviously, but you might have it on and be like, what sport are they even playing? But it might be fun. So I'm not going to bet on it, obviously, but that's just like a sneaky good game that you wouldn't have looked at preseason. But right now, it might be kind of interesting.
Perfect. Yeah, I would agree. Any other thoughts, KB, before we wrap it up?
Nope, just super excited. Thank you for coming on,
Yes.
Sam. Appreciate it. He's the betting expert. He's the betting whiz. If you need it inside, need lines, he's the guy you go to. So that's kind of why we wanted him on. And
Yep.
he's an MSU fan, and I just kind of wanted to see him, wither in misery as a Michigan fan for a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. He's one of the guys. So
Mission
appreciate that.
accomplished.
Yeah, I appreciate for having you on, and I'm just excited for we're so blessed. There's a month left in the season, 4 football weekends. You got the conference championship game weekend, but it's wild how quick the season goes. But we're just blessed
Yeah.
to be able to watch this every single weekend. Blessed to attend games live in person. It's just so fun. As much as the sport changed. It's still the thing you put on when you're still going to watch college football, still going to watch your team,
Yeah.
even though you hate every second of it, even though you hate yourself after watching it, you're still going to listen to the podcast all week. So it's just something to it's so interesting and fun, and I just love it, and thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, Sam, do you want to plug your Twitter or anything here quick before we get going? Or are you good?
Yeah, I mean, so Twitter at PromoGuyUS started that a while back, and then just kind of share some picks on there. Obviously, it's pretty mathematically oriented, so we have been profitable most of the months. So
Yes.
if you're a better, great, come on down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's about it. I do want to say JMU upset alert. I think they're going to lose at Georgia State. Not going to get into it, but that's my spicy pick of the week.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm excited to leave the tailgate early and get home and watch some actual football. So thanks for having me on. It's been fun. Feels like we're in the group chat on Xbox.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does.
So good times.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys out on Thunderstruck. You know how it is. Have a good weekend, and go green.
Go blue.
Go green.